Hello, howdy, and welcome back to episode 2 in this final little mini trilogy I'm doing on TF2. Today we're going to be white man video essay yapping about the defense classes, the demo, the heavy, and the engineer. If you haven't seen the previous video where I yap for 15-ish minutes about the offense classes, I'd recommend giving that a watch first, links in the description. If you need a recap, or you just don't want to sit through a bunch of overexcited platitudes about the louder classes, fair enough, here's a brief TLDR of that video. The offense classes are about speed, they're about getting in your face and staying there, and they're about having free enough movement that they can get to places nobody'd expect them to be. And another thing, they're about going into an engagement fully knowing there's a good chance you're not coming back alive, because it's of more value to your team to cause chaos and be unpredictable than it would be for you to crawl around looking for a specific kill. That said, let's move on to the defense classes. Right, so what makes the defense classes tick? Well, for starters, here's a realization I had a while back that kind of put everything into perspective for me about why the defense classes are the defense classes. They're not all always exactly meant for defending, they're anchors. Take the offense classes comparatively. In the vast majority of cases, when I play Scout, I'm completely on my own. When I play Soldier, I'm either pushing with a blob of teammates, or I'm flanking the bomb in. And with Pyro, I have no regard whatsoever for where exactly I am at any given point in time, as long as I know where I need to be to jetpack into a big clump of enemies. Likewise, as the support classes, Sniper, Medic, and Spy, I play around my team rather than my team playing around me. As Sniper, it's my job to get a good sightline and make myself useful. No teammate will wait around to help me, and it's my head on the line for any engagement I get in. As Medic, sure, I go with my team, but in the majority of cases, it's on me to keep myself alive because my team's too busy, doing team stuff and not protecting their medic. And as Spy, you can coordinate with your team to delete enemy pushes, but like with the other ones, you're on your own as far as survival is concerned. Demo, Heavy, and Engineer are uniquely situated in the defense category. Not because they're exclusively meant to defend, even if they are better suited to it than the rest of the cast, but because they are the anchors the rest of the team plays around. They aren't meant to defend an objective, they're meant to defend whatever area it is they're in at any given point in time. Heavy has a flat circle around wherever he is. Draw that circle, and that's his zone of control. He can't touch you outside that zone, but he can deal a lot of damage as long as you're in it. Demo has similar zones of control, though they're more based on his awareness than on his line of sight. It's just a matter of where he thinks you'll be in every half-second interval ahead of time, rather than where you are at the exact moment he sees you. An Engineer? He just drops down a Heavy that can't move, but he gets to play around it himself in exchange. Less versatile in long-form movement, more versatile in handing a single key area. And yeah, I know you could make the case for a couple other classes having this kind of control. Medic is supposed to have his team play around him rather than vice versa, but he doesn't exhibit an obvious zone of control on his own. So it feels a little hard to say he's a quote-unquote defense class rather than the obvious support he is. And yeah, Soldier playing in tight areas kinda has the same feel of Demo in terms of having a half-second ahead of time zone of control around him, but he can also afford to be in the enemy's face where the slightly squishier and often distracted Demo doesn't. Where Soldier doesn't have to care about where his team is, Demo's weak spot, his face, often needs to stay protected by either keeping a slight distance from the fight or having other members of his team orbit around him. Right, hopefully all that yapping on anchors and zones made at least a little bit of sense. It'd be an unfortunate waste of time otherwise. Let's stop with the abstract and get specific about playstyles. Demoman is not my favorite class. Sure, I'm decent with the guy, but definitely not competitively viable, and it's a rough time when I can't play him well versus when I can. See, here's my issue. The vast majority of my training ground is for playing actual Demoman. Came from one map I used to frequent all the time back in the day, Higher Tower. No, I'm not kidding. And here's what I learned from that. Number 1, the Iron Bomber is king. I've never been able to learn the pill physics for the stock grenade launcher because on that map, if a roller went off the side of the tower, it was as good as gone forever. So I used the Iron Bomber because the pills were far heavier and they had a more predictable curve and they actually stick to the ground where they land. Secondly, I love running the sticky jumper and proper sticky spam isn't something I can usually do. If I'm playing Demo on Higher Tower, it's because the enemy team has a base at the top of the tower and I'm trying to dislodge them. That means getting as high up as I can, as fast as I can, which means optimal sticky jumping with the jumper. And what that means is my experience just using sticky bombs is limited. Okay, don't get me wrong, I can do it, just not to any noteworthy degree. And finally, I can't melee for crap with Demo. Trust me, I love trying to do it, and I've spent a lot of time practicing Demo Knight trimping and other stuff. But man, it sucks when a scout gets in my face and I just don't know what to do, so I panic. And by the time my melee is out, he's already backed up and killed me. There isn't a class in TF2, not even Spy, who I play more panicky and get more easily overwhelmed with. Between watching stickies, reloading, predicting pill aiming, keeping an eye on flank routes, more than any other class, Demo has to be on top of everything to stay alive. And I'm a blithering idiot who likes to play like an ape. I mean, Jetpack Pyromane, hello? Here's the loadout I eventually ended up settling with for the class. Iron Bomber, Sticky Bomb Launcher, Caber. Bomber because it's the only primary I can really use. Stickies because at the end of the day, even if I can't aim for crap, the least I can do is drop enough stickies on a payload or a point to make the bad guys think twice about getting a few inches closer to me. And Caber because... okay, I'm gonna be completely honest. The Caber sucks. It's always sucked, but I love this thing so much. You're telling me I can whack a sniper and I have a roughly 40% chance of one-shotting him, but the other 60% causes my instant and unfortunate demise? Brother, I'm a lost cause with this guy anyways. Sign me up. All that said, when I actually am able to play this class, oh boy is it satisfying. Nail a half-health scout in the face with a pill and watch him fly. Explode half the team pushing the cart because they're too busy shooting you to see the stickies at their feet. Fly across the map and smack a sniper in the face with the Deutschland signature. My Demoman is a gamble 100% of the time, and whether I'm gambling for crits, a melee hit reg, or even just an enemy being where I think they are, all I really need to do is make sure the enemy sees my projectiles and keeps their distance because of them. And no, before you ask, I haven't gotten drunk on stream while playing Demo, so admittedly, all of everything I just said can be boiled down to being a skill issue because I never learned the true way to play the class. Heavy weapons guy. This guy. The big man himself. Technically speaking, I'm a heavy main. Also technically speaking, I play whatever I feel like playing, without regard to what I feel like maining. My first real TF2 videos on this channel were TF2 heavy tips and tricks. My current, and soon-to-be previous, profile picture is a zoomed-in picture of my heavy Zarbouche from a really old and crappy SFM image, and my first Australian and unusual alike were both for the class. Heavy's probably my favorite character in the lore. Bar maybe Engineer, he's the most normal guy in the team. And to top it all off, he's the big, happy, huggable brute of the team and the only one with a sandwich to give to dear, dear medic. From the top, here's my experience with the guy. A long time ago, I decided I wanted to get into TF2 YouTube for a host of reasons. I also decided for branding purposes, I'd need to pick a class to main and a hat to wear, since that was generally the style at the time. I settled on the heavy because I'd heard stereotypes of there not being many heavy mains, and I wasn't half bad at the class, where I was half bad at almost every other class comparatively. And as for a hat, I settled on the Zarbouche because I found the combo of the Zarbouche and Wild West Whiskers and thought to myself, this hat, which is normally one of the most dog crap worthless piles of trash-bound felt I've ever seen, actually doesn't look half bad if you can just hide the string. So I settled on heavy and I taught myself how to play the class. My initial main loadout was Tomislav, second banana, and gloves of running urgently, and that hasn't changed much over the years. These days I mostly run the stock minigun instead of Tomislav and the bread bite instead of the Gru just because it's a cooler reskin, but I stand by the original loadout as being just as good. So how do I play heavy? Step 1. Corner camping. Heavy does significantly more damage to targets up close, so play with the map and find good spots to surprise people in close range. You can tank being in someone else's face better than anyone else in the game, so use that to your advantage. Step 2, don't be afraid to roam. You don't need a medic to survive an engagement if you can somehow get the element of surprise. And you don't need to be afraid of entire teams if they're facing the other direction. Remember how I mentioned in the offense video that I love getting in people's faces and making them panic? That's just as true of heavy as it is of the other classes. Put yourself in the enemy's shoes for a couple hypotheticals. You come around a corner and find yourself face to face with a revved up Tomislav heavy you didn't know was there because the Tomislav's a silent gun. What do? You fire off a shot to at least deal some damage before you die, or you retreat in fear. Either way, the heavy wins. Or say you're in a team fight and you suddenly discover a heavy behind your lines shooting into your back. You either stop what you're doing and turn to fight the heavy, which exposes you to the rest of the heavy's team that you were fighting, or you ignore him and just accept that you're going to take 100 damage over the next 3 seconds. Now, looping back real quick, heavy, like the other defense classes, is an anchor class. As I'm sure all of y'all will know, teams play around the heavy. He controls a definite zone of space around himself when revved up, and he's both the meat shield protecting everyone behind him and the source of laser beams keeping the enemy team pinned just out of his line of sight. When I play as a roamer heavy, it's not because I don't want to be an anchor, it's because I know the enemy team will treat me as one. Heavy's single largest strength is that in almost every engagement, he can neither be ignored, nor can he quickly be dismissed. He doesn't die as fast as a scout or a spy, and he won't fear you like a demo or a soldier. Heavy is a force of nature, and he is the anchor in the storm. He is defiant and and stubborn and will be there until you peel his body off the floor. That's why I main this class. Not because he's the fastest or the strongest or the most valuable, but because he's the most reliable class in the game. His performance is consistent, predictable, and stalwart beyond reason. All the enemy team has to do is backstab or headshot him, sure, but they have to backstab or headshot him. Taking down a heavy is never as quick as taking out most other classes, and it's the longevity that you grant your team that offers your most true value. So come, break your back against the Siberian mountain, and see if you have enough time to complete your objective by the time you do so. And then there's Engineer. Engie is a special case for me. Over the years, I've gotten good with Engie, but I never play him quite as orthodox as I imagine most people play him. A couple years back, I watched a certain Uncle Dane video that posited a simple idea. Battle Engineer is not a subclass, it's a mindset. I took that advice and decided to see how far it would go. And to this day, I have yet to find its limits. Sure, I love setting up in the bunker and hunkering down on Dust Bowl 3-1 as much as the next guy, but put me on 2 Fort and tell me to have fun, and if I don't select Jetpack Pyro first thing, my second go-to will be dropping a level 3 in the enemy's base. See, here's my loadout. Alternating between Shotgun and Panic Attack because they're so similar that it just depends on the map for which one's better. Pistol because I'm a lazy bastard who never learned how to properly wrangler, and most importantly, the Jag. This magnificent piece of equipment is my entire playstyle. You know how most battle engineers run mini sentries and charge the enemy headlong? Here's something that crossed my mind at some point. Why play battle engineer with minis when you could play battle engineer with level 3s? With one, you get a small distraction and a little bit of extra poke damage. With the other, all you have to do is play aggressive enough to be bait and your sentry gets the kill. Where exactly is the line between battle engineer and normal engineer? There kind of isn't one. When the level 3 goes down, so what? You can make a level 1 as fast as you can make a mini because you're running the Jag, and level 1s are better than minis in almost every way. Plus, when there's downtime, you can upgrade them. The only downside is you don't get the plus 25 health for running the gunslinger, but so what? Just don't get hit. You're still an angry Texan with a gun, and now you have a lot more gun backing you up. Sure, if it's an attack, defense, or payload map, I'll throw down teleporters and do my team job. I don't want to be a wasted slot after all. But all I'm saying is I love playing this class just a little more idiotically than everyone else gives you credit for. The sentry around a corner in enemy territory may only get 1 or 2 kills before they catch on, but those 1 or 2 why is that there kills are just too juicy to pass up. The line between helping your team and hurting theirs blurs easily as engineer, and that's why he's still a defense class. No matter how I play him, he anchors areas down without exception. Engie's team plays around his buildings, Engie plays around his buildings, and the enemy team plays around your buildings. All you need to make sure is you're familiar with the orbit the enemy team takes to your buildings, so you can cut them off at the pass and cut them down to a man. Right, I think that's about it for the defense classes. It should go without saying, but I love playing heavy in Engie, and even if Demo's not my cup of tea, I completely get it. These guys aren't the ones who usually go in and roll the entire enemy team. Okay, Demo can do that, and I'm just bad. But when you do get that one triumphant moment of stuffing an enemy's push because they came around a corner and ran headfirst into your minigun, sticky trap, or sentry, it's just so viscerally satisfying. The offense classes have positioned moment-to-moment fun with tactical victories. The defense classes have well-planned and well-positioned moments of strategic glory that feel so much more satisfying than just one kill. Love it. Right, that said, I'll see you all in the next one for my last TF2 video. Thanks again for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Cheers. The crack man medic.
Come on, Tony, you gotta step it up. I'm out here alone, bud.
Tony, we've already said our stuff. You're the only one who hasn't said anything.
Crack man, we're like cracker man.
There we go.
As soon as I speak, I got one campfire sniper across the map. Bro, fuck this game.